Just give you a little epilogue on the shoulder situation. So all good. After Friday's really good session, on Saturday I decided to just start getting back into trusting it a little bit more. So started to do some handstand work, so just trying to load it. And at first I was really cautious, so just trying to load the shoulder in a straight arm position and just being like, is it okay? Felt quite nice, was able to kick up to handstand quite comfortably. And then I just experimented with a little bit more, doing some cartwheels and kind of moving it towards stuff where you're just a little bit more on one than the other hand. And yeah, it was absolutely fine. So, it really was, just a reminder to me to, if you do get an injury, not panic massively. I see it quite a lot in clinic where people will come in and they'll be like, well, my back's gone, so that's comprep fucked. And actually sometimes yeah, but sometimes no. And I don't know if sometimes when we're deep in that, I'm 4 weeks out from a comp and training's quite hard, and you think, do you know what? Maybe this is a blessing. Maybe my shoulder's telling me that I'm not meant to do that. So actually, I just needed to stay the course a little bit more, and I needed to trust it a little bit more, trust myself, trust what I knew, get involved in some rehab, and just see what it could do. And actually it turns out that Saturday I was doing crazy gymnastic stuff. By Sunday I was back at wrestling, and I didn't have to do a left shoulder roll on Sunday, which was great. So I just got to get back into it, but I was holding people, throwing people, doing all sorts of stuff. And I wasn't massively thinking about must protect my shoulder. It wasn't really an awareness. And then on Monday, I did have to do, my first thing I had to do was the left shoulder roll. And I was like, oh, great. And every part of me was like, I'm going to start on the right. And I was like, no, psychologically, the thing that bit you do need to get back into at some point. And everything else felt so fine. There was no real reason to keep me from doing that apart from fear. I think it's always really worth remembering with the movement, there's nothing wrong with a left shoulder roll, just like there's nothing wrong with a deadlift, even though you know someone who a deadlift blew their back up. It's just sometimes we meet the move that overtaxes an already stressed system, and that is the one that kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back. But it's not an inherently bad movement. Certainly in my case, my techers was just shit. So fixing that makes it a lot safer. But also just getting back into the movement with appropriate loading over time. Now, obviously, I was really lucky in the type of injury I had, in that actually it wasn't a serious tissue tear or anything like that. I didn't, no, my ligaments snapped. I was in a pretty good position. So, yes, it is, 50% luck that I am now absolutely fine. But it's also, I think, 50% judgment, because I think at that point, had I behaved differently with my injury, it would have become a thing, or it would have become an injury rather than a niggle. And that would have just been due to panic and just being like, oh no, I'm done. So I'm really glad that I stayed the course, and would encourage anybody. So if you are, whether you're in comp prep or not, or whatever you're doing, if you experience that injury, don't panic. Get it checked out. So if you don't know what you're doing with it, get it checked out by somebody who does, and just get an understanding of what your parameters are for training, because there's 9 times out of 10 there's loads you can do. So yeah, highly recommend that you don't panic. Seek someone out who can help you understand what's going on a little bit better, and give you some alternatives to training. And it might be that you change how you train. It might be that you cease certain activities. It might be that you adapt them. But it will look different for every injury. But I'm really glad that having a clear plan at the beginning, and I've been lucky enough that actually I've managed to move through that really quickly. It might have been a different story if it had been a different kind of injury, but I would have still held to the same principles, but I would have probably just taken a bit longer to get through the stages. So hopefully that's helped. If not, sorry I wasted about half an hour of your time.